I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Alice. In 1982, Ramon Jaramillo Vasquez vanished without a trace. Decades later, his family continues to wait for information about his disappearance. Ramon Jaramillo Vasquez was a loving husband and father of a young daughter. His family considered him a working man who cared deeply about those close to him. For more than 40 years, Ramon's family has searched for him and tells us they've had no luck finding him. June 25th marked 42 years since his family reported him missing. He was just 28 years old.
We hope and pray, we have faith in God.
Esmeralda Charles is Ramon's sister. She remembers, even now, growing up with Ramon and him being good to her. She and others are renewing their push to find Ramon and to reunite him with their mother, who's 95 and has dementia.
We can't find him or anything. There's been a lot of leads and everything. Up to now, it's kind of hard not crying. But we did look in a lot of places.
Esmeralda told us Ramon was known for staying close to his family and having a love for Tejano music. She believes someone knows more about his disappearance, including someone close to the family. Fast forward to 2024, Esmeralda and her mom still want answers.
If he is dead, we can give him a decent burial. It's hard. It's been hard all these years. But he's our brother and we love him, you know.
Ramon's sister Esmeralda Charles says she hopes to one day find out what happened to her brother, putting an end to a long and painful wait. I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Alice for KRIS 6 News.
Folks, we really quickly want to mention earlier today we ran a story about an unaccompanied funeral for an Army veteran. Unfortunately, the video was from a different funeral for a woman whose family was present. We regret the error. Our condolences to the family.
Police Chief Scott Burrows took one final ride in his police car on Friday before his long-awaited retirement. I'm Erin Hawley, your Port Aransas neighborhood news reporter, and I speak with Chief Burrows about what serving in Port Aransas these past 15 years meant to him and those he impacted in the community.
Chief Scott Burrows.
Well, we don't do that in Texas, all right? That's against the law.
Has been doing that.
Are you stuck too, or are you here to get them out?
In Port Aransas for 15 years.
One of my favorite things is to drive the streets and you look at the people and everybody is smiling. It's the place, our place, for a huge part of the Texas population. And it's, unless you live it, I can't describe it.
Chief Burrows' retirement will be felt by the whole community, even his hairdresser.
More especially his leadership through Hurricane Harvey and through the pandemic. I know that couldn't have been easy for him to navigate, but he did it with ease and made us feel safe.
Chief Burrows doesn't take life too seriously. But the safety of the community is something that he doesn't mess around with.
We're in good hands. We've made some really good hiring choices over the last 15 years.
Police Lieutenant James Stokes will follow in Burrows' footsteps as the next chief. Burrows certainly made his mark on Port A.
My wife asked me the other day, "You sure you want to do this?" And I told her, "No, I don't want to do this." But you're asking the wrong question. You need to ask, do we need to do this? And the answer to that question is yes.
And with that,
small town America.
Chief Burrows closes his patrol unit door one last time.
Chief Burrows says he plans to retire in North Texas with his wife, Charlene. He says he won't be a stranger to this city that means so much to him. In Port Aransas, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Erin Hawley, KRIS 6 News.
I'm John Matteries with some simple mistakes a lot of drivers make that can lead to big repair bills down the road. That story coming up. Do you sometimes skip an oil change to save money or ignore a warning light on your dashboard? Well, mechanics say that simple mistakes like that can lead to much more expensive repairs down the road.
Peter Mingo never misses an oil change, and if his Chevy Malibu throws him a warning light, he says he jumps onto it right away.
I try to get that fixed as soon as possible.
But too many drivers might be putting off maintenance, which is costly, according to certified mechanic Matt Overbeck.
We have seen cases of extended warranties where they will deny coverage because certain maintenance items weren't performed per the manufacturer's recommendations.
To help you keep your car in shape, technicians with Consumer Reports Auto Test Center shared 5 things they would never do to their own vehicles, like skipping oil changes, ignoring dashboard warning lights, or driving with worn out or damaged tires. Automotive writer and tester Mike Quincy recommends checking your tire pressure at least once a month.
If you're driving in the rain on worn out tires, your handling is going to get much worse. Your braking distances are going to get longer.
Consumer Reports technicians say they would never ignore a recall notice and never use an old school style touch car wash.
The kind of brushes that they use, the whirly things that slap your car as it's going through the car wash line, can really scratch your paint. It can leave swirl marks. So a touchless car wash is better.
Regular maintenance can be expensive and time consuming.
How many fathers or mothers have said this to their young drivers? Look in the owner's manual. The owner's manual is going to tell you a maintenance schedule that you should go by.
But ignoring a small problem now,
you're going to get stuck somewhere, and then you got rent toll fees.
Can lead to expensive problems later. So don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese.
The 4th of July holiday travel period has begun, and it's going to be a busy one. An estimated 70 million Americans will travel for the 4th. TSA is predicting this could be one of the busiest travel periods ever at the nation's airports. Peak days for air travel are today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, July 3rd. 3 million passengers were expected to fly out of airports today alone. It will be busy on the highways as well. According to AAA, a record number of people will drive more than 50 miles over the next week. So how much can you expect to pay at the pumps if you're hitting the road for the 4th? According to AAA, the statewide average price for a gallon of regular unleaded is $3.19. That's the same we were paying a year ago. In Corpus Christi, the average price is lower at $3.11 a gallon. How does that compare to last year? Well, back then, a gallon of gas would have cost you $3.19. There's encouraging news from the Commerce Department. Inflation has slowed to its lowest annual rate in over 3 years. Consumer prices remained flat from April to May. That's the smallest change in more than 4 years. Also today, the Bureau of Economic Analysis reported today that personal income rose 0.5%. That's higher than what had been expected. But is all of this enough for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates? Most economists think rate cuts could start in September. A rate cut would eventually lead to lower borrowing rates for consumers and businesses. Watch Scripps News for all-day coverage from across the country and around the world. You can catch it on Channel 6.6.
Hey folks, meteorologist Bill Alexander, and this is a look from your Matthews live weather camera over at Snoopy's, and you can see beautiful weather conditions out there. A little bit of ripples there in Laguna Madre, light to moderate traffic on the JFK Causeway. Still looking at 90 degrees out there. A gusty southeast wind right now at 20 miles an hour, and some lingering showers west of 37 and on up towards the Beeville area. A few little dissipating showers down towards Alfurias, but basically a quiet evening out there. That's after a day where we hit 95 degrees, morning low of 79, and we're only about 1/3 of an inch above normal in rainfall for the year now. But the high pressure in the upper air over the northwestern half of the state has brought triple-digit heat across that region there. We're still looking at 90s over most of the rest of the Lone Star State, except for those upper 80s right along the immediate coastline. Yeah, it's warm. It's pretty humid out there. In fact, you've got dew points hitting right around the 80-degree mark, which is pretty stifling out there. And that's really not going to change much in the next couple of days. It does drop off just a little bit late Sunday, but only a little bit, and that's because we start to see that Saharan dust moving on in. Overnight tonight, breezy, humid, warm. upper 70s to middle 80s for your minimum temperature. Yeah, it's going to be pretty stuffy out there. And then tomorrow, back into the upper 80s to middle, even upper 90s further to the west. Windy, no, well, at least breezy, but certainly hot. And if you look at your heat index values tomorrow, back around 110, 111, 112. Yeah, we're probably going to have a heat advisory issued again. Same thing again on your Sunday. So prepare for a hot and humid weekend. Even if you go out to the coastal waters of the Gulf side beaches, where it'll be mostly sunny and breezy, you're still going to have to deal with a heat index hitting around 110. So hydrate, 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 and the water temperature is not going to help you much. It's pushing 90 degrees. Southeast wind 15 to 20 knots. It'll make for slightly choppy to occasionally choppy bays and 3 to 6 foot seas. Very high UV index, so keep the SPF 50 handy, and a moderate rip current risk. So here are your winds, and notice they drop off a bit tonight, but not as much as they have been. And so you're going to keep the breezes in there, and fairly windy again on your Saturday, a little bit less so on Sunday.